I'm Chelsea Markham, and I am here to show you our watercolor art kit for Crafternoon from Hazel and Ruby. I'm really excited about this kit because I was able to design these wonderful little sayings and pictures that you will get to watercolor with this kit. So I'm going to show you a few tips and tricks on watercoloring. And in your kit, you're going to be receiving those 3 designs on a nice watercolor paper, a recipe card with some instructions and tips, a watercolor palette, has some great colors and the ability to mix those colors to create even more, and 2 different sizes of brushes, which should be a great start for your watercolor. So I'm going to show you some tips on how to watercolor with this quote by C.S. Lewis. So to begin, you're going to want to make sure you have some clean water, and as well as a paper towel or something else that you can dab your brushes on as you are using them. So you do have 2 different sizes of brushes, and I prefer to use the larger brush for larger pieces of color to put some background, and then the smaller brush to create smaller details. So we're going to start off with the wider brush. So we're going to get some water on there. And I'm going to start off with one of these larger flowers. It's nice to start at the top and work towards the bottom, because then as you're going along, your hand doesn't smear, and it would be awful to ruin your hard work as you're going along. So I'm going to paint this flower, base of this flower, pink. So what's great about watercolor is it's really easy to layer. So on this one, I'm going to actually paint this entire flower pink, even though there are some different layers that are drawn into it, because then I can go back on top of that and add in some other colors once this is dry. You can also create a lot of different looks with watercolor. You can have it be a little more watery, as in its name, but it can also be very precise and opaque depending on how much water you have on your brush. And it also will be determined by how quickly you put that extra layer of paint down onto your design. So if I'm going to want a little bit more of an organic, fluid look to my watercoloring, I'm going to wipe off that brush so that I don't get any pink in my next color. If I wanted to add this purple on top and wanted them to blend, I'm going to want to do that while the pink is still wet, because then those 2 colors are going to blend right in together and create a nice look. If I didn't want that, then I would wait until that first layer is dry and then add the second layer on top. And I always like to clean off my brush after every color, just to make sure that I don't have any excess on there, unless you want it to blend. So another great thing about watercolor and this palette is that you can mix the different colors in order to create more. So I really like this green, but I think for my base layer of my little leaves along the sides here, I want it to be just a little bit darker. So I'm going to actually use the edges of my palette to get a little bit of that color on there. And then I'm going to get some more water and get some of this darker brown gray color and add that to this. And you can kind of go back and forth until you get the color that you want. So I have a little bit darker olive green that I can use to outline my flowers on the side here. And really these lines on this design are a guideline. If you want to add more to the sides, if you go outside the lines, that's totally okay. That's why it's nice and light, so that you can design this however you want. A lot of little green in the middle. So those are a couple of tips. So now I'm going to take my thinner brush to get into some of these little details in the calligraphy here. I think I want to do my calligraphy in this nice orange-brown color. So I prefer my smaller pieces to have a little bit more paint and a little less water so that I have more control over where that paint is going to go. So fill up your brush with that paint, and then you're going to want to just lightly brush into those little corners. I usually like to start with the smaller pieces and lead into the larger pieces of the design so that I just have better control that way, and I can fill it in right to the edges, which is really nice. This brush is the perfect size to be able to do that. And as you can see, this has a much more precise and opaque look than our top flower that was a little bit more organic. Another great thing about watercolors you can see here is you can get a good ombre effect just by not adding more color to your brush. So you can go from dark to light really easily. And if you want that look, that's great. If you don't, you can always add more color onto your brush. So those are just a few tips and tricks for watercolor that I've picked up as I've learned how to do this. There's always more to learn, and there's so much to do, but that's what's great about this kit is you have 3 different designs that you can do in 3 different styles in order to expand your watercolor horizons. So this is our lovely finished product of the Courage Dear Heart, and it's great to put it in a frame. You can take this and put it to the front of a card if you would like, and then you can also use your new watercolor skills to create your own designs and put it on your own art. Thank you for watching, and please visit hazelandruby.com for more tutorials like this.